Unidentified vessel. Please submit your clearance codes.
I can bring you in warm. Or I can bring you in cold.
This is Justin.
The Force will be with you. This is Josh.
This is Kyle.
This is Maggie.
And we are the Outer Rim Beacon.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome to the Outer Rim Beacon Friday night live stream talking about all things Book of Mandalorian. Boba Fett. I'm so confused now. I'm Justin. I'm one of your hosts. Joining me today, as always, are my special co-hosts.
This is Josh, and like Justin said, Boba Fett, where?
Demise by a jetpack.
This is Kyle, and I feel like Sabine Wren is feeling really sad and guilty somewhere, potentially.
Spicy.
Very spicy. And this is Maggie, who is very happy to have her Mandalorian back.
Yes. As always, as we told you guys at the very beginning, we were going to have a very special guest on every week of this show. Our guest this week is no exception to that. Josh, I'm going to let you handle the intro for this one because you are the man when it comes to this stuff.
All right. I prepared something last time, and I got the stream didn't work, so I'm just going to go off the cuff. Hailing from Mandalore's moon, Concordia. The only Mandalorian who's allowed to not wear his helmet. His mother calls him son because he shines like one. Rohit Raju. That's his line. Don't laugh.
It was cool.
I stole that from him.
Love it. Rohit, welcome.
The mocha-skinned Mando himself, ravishing Rohit Raju. Oh, that's cool.
I was never sure if I was allowed to say mocha skin Mando as a white. So.
I don't know.
I mean, I like it, but
nothing bad, but okay.
He's like, you do you, boo.
Just right on the safe side.
You do you, boo. Justin.
You do you, boo.
As a white, we want to avoid appropriation at all costs.
Yeah, my skin's pretty tough, so that doesn't bother me at all.
Nice. Well, Rohit, welcome to the show. It's been a while since we've had you on. We did have you on previously for a Friday night live stream. I think that was during maybe season
friend
1
of the show.
Mando,
Yeah.
I think is what we had
It
you
was
on.
season
Was it
It's been a hot minute.
Season 2? Probably
One
season
of the
1.
two.
Was it 2?
One of the two, yeah. But
Yeah.
it's been a while. We're
Which
happy
would've
to have
been
you back.
2000. I mean, it was a while ago.
Yeah, it probably was.
Yeah. Jeez. That's
I
crazy.
go to wrestling shows in Michigan just to talk about Star Wars with this guy at his merch table. Like that's my number one goal. I'm like, Rohit's there. Okay, I'm gonna go talk to him at his table forever, and he's not gonna be able to sell any shirts because I'm in the way.
Yeah.
That's okay.
You're like
I
cutting into the
enjoy
bottom line.
talking Star Wars, so
Yeah, he's like, move
There you
along. Josh kind of like walks off on his own. But yeah, it's great to have you here, man. We're happy to talk some Mando with you this week and Boba Fett this week. It was mostly Mando centric, but let's I'm gonna go to you first because normally I like to just get the overall impressions of our guest first and see what they thought of the episode as a whole from start to finish.
The episode was fantastic. I do find it funny that it was the best episode of the Boba Fett show, and there was no Boba Fett. It honestly felt like they were filming season 3 and then they stopped and they're like, well, we have this really sweet episode. Where can we put it? Just shove it in the Boba Fett series. That I don't know. It felt like out of place in a sense, but in the right place. But the episode itself was from beginning to end was just awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
It made me, and I think a lot of people realize how much we miss Mando and how developed his character is, and almost puts Boba's development to shame, kind of, or really gives it a run for its money. But yeah, Mando was firing on all cylinders in this episode. Excellent episode.
Yeah, agreed. It's a little hard to stick a Mando-centric episode in the middle of Book of Boba Fett when you're trying to develop Boba Fett more and see what he's been up to. And now all of a sudden we're back with Mando and we're going, all right, so here's what he's been up to during this time. And now we're just sucked back into that Mandalorian world and really wanting more of that. I guess, at this point. So
yeah.
yeah, I totally feel you there. What everybody else? Let's go to. I'll go to Kyle first this time. What were your overall thoughts on the show this week?
I really did enjoy it. It was super fun. Even once we got to Tatooine, which in the past, if you're a regular listener, you may have known that like sometimes I think Tatooine is like a little bit of a groan fest. Like of all the places in the world, we're back on Tatooine. But like even you might even call it like a nostalgia fest, but every single part of it worked and it was really fun. And it was sort of like an almost hour-long trailer for the next season of The Mandalorian, but it converged right with where we are in Boba Fett's story and how he got there. And it answered some questions, but it just raised so many more questions. And I am equally curious to see where both of those storylines go. Like, what are these Pikes doing, and how are we going to take them out now that we have one more Mandalorian? But also all that other stuff we just talked about in this episode that is very interesting.
Yeah, agreed. This was I kind of agree with this because we went from him kind of redeeming himself at the end of Mandalorian by helping him on Navarro.
He's just a true believer.
Now
he can't help himself.
No, that's my sword. What are you doing? You can't have that. No. Maybe it just runs in the family.
Sword.
It just runs in the family. It's a heirloom passed down Vizsla to Vizsla, and that's why he's cranky about it. I don't know.
I felt like it was the one ring he saw it in.
It was his precious for sure.
That's the precious to the Mandos, and he's like, precious. He needed it.
Yep. And he clearly knows about it. And he knows what's up. So he's like, hey, wait, we've been looking for that for a while. That was belonged to my family, but sure. Maggie, what about you? What did you think of this episode?
Oh my God, where to even begin? My review was almost 2,000 words long. My essay I wrote today was almost 2,000 words long. This episode was so good as somebody who's been a really big fan of the Mandalorian's like religious drama, because everything about his interaction with the armor and everything that came after that just hit right in the sweet spot of where I've been wanting to see his growth go. And it was so good. Every moment of it. I watched it twice because I have to with my reviews, but like I watched it back to back and I was just like, I want more of this. I want like the next 3 episodes to get more of like the connection between where Mando is and his like evolution of figuring out who he is as a Mandalorian to converge with where we've seen Boba kind of cleaving from both that Mandalorian vibe, but also the bounty hunter vibe, and showing Din that there's like a life out there outside of being a bounty hunter, outside of like all of this rough and tumble life that he's had. And I think there's some really interesting stuff that we could see, and I'm hoping there's follow through for it. But this was a 10-10, no complaints, great episode. Just so good.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Josh, I'm gonna leave the Legends Man last here because we got so much in this episode on Mandalorian myth, legend, whatever you want to call it, which was a direct nod to Legends, essentially, that is no longer canon. What did you think of this episode?
Well, first of all, we call it the expanded universe in my house. It's still that to me. And that's what I was going to say. As much as we got all this fan service crammed in, like the best kind of fan service, like it all fit. My favorite part was the lore, like seeing Mandalore in live action, seeing the Terminator 2 destruction of Mandalore, the Night of 1,000 Tears, just learning more stuff about that, and that was so awesome. But it's wild to me how this episode just like felt different. It looked different. It like I feel like it sounded different. And I don't understand. I was trying to like piece this together. It's just like, because I don't think it's just Mando. I think like it's all of the stuff surrounding that character in this episode that had that feel. And I don't know if it's just like director styles are different, and that's what I like. Maybe I'm just not a fan of Robert Rodriguez, and or as much as I am like what Bryce Dallas Howard did in this episode. I'm not really sure, but it felt completely different in the best way.
I think it's like kind of all that stuff stacked on top of each other. Like, she is obviously very awesome. That, like, she's proven that I would trust her to do anything in the Star Wars universe at this point. Write a book if you want. I don't know. Can you do that? I don't know. But it's a different setting. It's a whole different like musical score from all the Mandalorian stuff. You know, I guess we were on Tatooine again for the second half of the episode, but you know, it's just, and it's a different character, and he's on a whole different arc, which is similar to Boba's, but he's doing his own kind of thing, and it's gonna feel different. And I agree, it was amazing, but it was just gonna be so different, I think.
Yeah.
It felt like the budget was better too. I don't know if it's because Boba's has been just on Tatooine and there's only so much you could do, and then this one was in space and they had, you know, the cruisers, the Halo ring, and all that stuff. But it just felt like the budget was much better and production looked much better this episode than the rest of the series has looked so far. But maybe it's because they weren't, you know, on a desert planet the entire time.
Yeah. You know, going back to something that Kyle said earlier on about how Tatooine feels like a nostalgia fest, I have to say, like, as a prequel kid, it was nice for once for Tatooine to be the source of prequel era nostalgia and not just the original trilogy. When Pelly uncovered that ship, like, she didn't even have to say the name of that ship. I was just like, that's a Naboo starfighter. Like, my brain just like.
I never would have guessed that in a million years.
And then when he went through the pod racing area,
Yeah.
I was just like, somebody
Beggars
pointed
Canyon?
out Beggars Canyon. Somebody pointed out that the guardrail that Anakin rams through in the Phantom Menace is still broken.
It's still broken.
And the same detritus is laying on the side of it. And I was just like, this is too much. I can't handle this.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. That tracking shot was beautiful. I mean, it was almost 2 minutes of uncut footage from the time you went into the elevator, going up into the room, it panned around the room, back out, down the elevator, and gone. It was just a fantastic
Aaron Sorkin.
Fantastic shot. Yeah.
It's a good it was a good showcase too, with like looking at the fan reaction of how much people have, like, well, not everybody, but most people have mellowed and on their and people have come around on the prequels. Like, I don't even like the N1 that much, but I was excited to see it.
Yeah.
I'm curious to how that's going to work for his bounty hunting, though. Doesn't seem like it's very practical.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking too.
I'm like, is he going?
Where do you put your bounty?
Like, is he shifting away from that now?
The astromech tube.
He's going to have to only collect people cold now and take their head in the target bag.
And I want to know if he's going to take BD1 with him. Because he needs a droid sidekick now that he's over his thing with droids. He asked about the astromech, like, am I getting an astromech with my ship? So I'm just saying.
Yeah. There is so much to talk about in this episode. Let's start with that. We're gonna go off your BD there, Maggie.
Thank you.
All right. So we had BD, a BD model droid in this episode. Yes. We had a drop of Braca in there from Mando. Do we think a Cal Kestis is coming, or is this just a tease to everybody that, hey, look what we can do with your Star Wars head and mess with you?
Remember that video game? I think that's all that was.
I think it's just a shot, like a nod to, hey, this was in that, because the ship was also like, wasn't that Star Cruisers or like their ship, that hotel thing that they were hyping up?
Starliner.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think it's just like subtle nods to stuff in the universe.
Yeah.
As much as I think Cal Kestis would be cool, I'd like to see more of his story video game wise first.
Yeah. Does anybody have any? Do we think that like Mando is gonna go off and find Luke and Grogu, like he knows where they went, or do we think he's going right to help Boba?
Well, he's gotta give no. So we were talking about this earlier. I think Rohit said like they shot an episode of Mando and then decided to put it here. I think what we're going to see when Mando season 3 comes out is like, we're not going to have Mando this next episode of Boba Fett, because he's going to be off going to see Grogu. And then he'll return for the final episode for whatever the clash with the Pikes is.
Yeah.
And then when we get to Mando season 3, we'll see that reunion with Grogu.
Gotcha.
So you don't think that Grogu and or Luke will come back to shore up Boba's situation.
I would love that though. Can I just say how much, like, y'all know that I was never a fan of Luke Skywalker until that Mandalorian episode, and then I was like, well, maybe
Sacrilege.
I know.
Oh Lord.
I wasn't like I was indifferent.
You're gonna have zero 50-year-old men fans now.
I'm sorry. I think I was just indifferent to him. He was just like, oh, that's cool. I preferred Han. I preferred Leia. Like that was my jive.
He's the Boy Scout. That's I mean.
Yeah, he was too goody two shoes.
Those are fighting words.
I know. I'm sorry. I never hated him. I just was indifferent. But the Mandalorian made me like reconsider things about Luke, and I even own Luke action figures now. Never thought that would happen.
You've come around on multiple characters.
I have.
And
Luke,
grown
Boba,
as a fan. Yeah,
I have, and I think a lot of that has to do with how they introduce characters, how they use them to benefit other characters' plots, and a lot of things to do with that. But I think it would be really interesting for Boba Fett, knowing how he feels specifically about Jedis, to have a Jedi who is connected to Tatooine and would have a vested interest in the improvement of Tatooine's ecosystem politically, to come back and help, especially since we've been reintroduced to like Cammy and characters that we know that Luke had a connection to. So I just think it would be interesting if he did come back as, a little backup, because Mando's cool and all, but I don't think that the three of them could take on the Pikes alone.
I think it's too soon for Luke and a Grogu reunion. I think they'll milk that just because the emotional value on that will be so huge, and the payoff. Luke, unless they've done a little bit better job on the deep fake stuff, as much as I'm like, Luke is my favorite.
Keep that hood up.
Favorite Star Wars character. So seeing him
Didn't they hire that guy?
DA's Mark Hamill was still awesome for me. I can't see that in action, I guess you could say, unless they put the cloak up again, his hood, and that's how he's moving. But I think the payoff would be much bigger if we get a reunion between him and Grogu in the Mando season 3. But he definitely, I agree, he needs more muscle than the Power Ranger kids, Fennec, and although Chrysanthemum's probably gonna be like that linebacker.
Yeah, he counts as
like the whole
strength of 10 men.
But, maybe he'll get some old bounty hunters. I don't know, but he definitely does need some more help. And I do think we'll get a tease of, I'm going to go see an old friend, and we won't get that reunion next episode. And I don't think we'll get that. Would it be cool? Heck yeah, I totally agree. I think it'd be awesome, especially seeing Luke take out some Pikes. That'd be sweet. But I think the money is the bigger payoff is let milk that a little bit. And then once you get that Mando season 3 reunion, I think that'll be a big deal. I think it would mean more too if it was in his own series and not Boba Fett's.
True.
I agree. I don't really expect Luke and Grogu to show up, but I will say, devil's advocate, what if when Tim slipped and was like, I get to work with this person, what if it was Mark Hamill? There's that thing. And also, yes, Tiernan as a Jedi sending a young person into harm's way, that would actually be, according to canon, that's the way they would handle it.
5-year-old Ben Solo.
That would be the move.
Well, yeah, what if it was a deep fake Harrison Ford?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like
I don't have the budget for Harrison Ford.
5-year-old Ben Solo shows up to play.
Yeah, just force pushing
budget for Alden.
Pikes everywhere.
Right.
Actually,
I'm not gonna lie. I would love to see Boba and Luke at the end, like the last episode. Somehow he comes to help him, and then Boba looks over at him, and he's like, "No hard feelings, mate."
Yeah.
and it's just like this casual, like, "We're cool, bro. It's sorry." That kind of thing.
they had a moment like that in the books with him and Han, where him and Han are like fighting the Vong together, and he literally says, "My beef was never with you; it was always the Jedi."
Yep.
So, speaking of the Grogu reunion, though, I'm really looking forward to when we get to see him with the little Beskar present he got. I think he's gonna look real.
What is everybody?
Oh my gosh, that's
couldn't wait to set yourself up for that.
That is
what is
real dope.
Really
what does everybody
protective
think
in
it's
this
gonna be?
area.
Chainmail.
I think
He's got some mithril.
Frodo War in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, he's got some mithril coming.
Was it mithril?
You think in that little tiny palm of his hand satchel is an entire chainmail shirt
Yeah, or it's like Scott
that he's
Snyder
going to
chainmail.
outgrow?
If,
That
oh
seems
man, if he
impractical
comes
to
out
me.
looking like Big Papa,
Hopefully, it's
Pump,
like
I will
Scott Steiner
lose it.
taking
Yeah.
out for his head.
Yeah.
Mm.
The little,
It's a
the
little
little.
bracelet. It's a little cufflet.
There you go. There you go.
My
Those
two
are
thoughts,
Beskar friendship
BFFs
bracelet.
forever.
my
She's
two
she's
thoughts
like,
were that like it might be just a chain with his little signet on it, or practical would be like a glove for his lightsaber hand, obviously.
Oh, that would be pretty sweet. That would
Need
be
a little
really
extra
sweet.
protection while you're being offensive, you know.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Look like Michael Jackson's glove or something.
Well, also very fashionable. Yeah, super
Right,
dope.
right.
We got to
Can I-
think what would sell. What would sell? So it has to be
Well,
something
what-
making market.
All about the
sell
merchandising. Yeah.
toys, and yeah, that's
Yeah.
so it has to be something so a glove could work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that his immediate reaction, like right at, I don't know if it's intentional, if it's just how it worked in the dialogue, but like Armorer says that the Darksaber was forged by somebody who was both a Jedi and a Mandalorian. Then they have the whole conversation about the Jedi not wanting attachments, but the Mandalorian, that's like their whole thing is having attachments.
Opposite.
And
Yeah.
then Din's like, I'm gonna go see Grogu. And I was like, what are you thinking, my himbo son? Well, what are you thinking? Are you thinking
He's never thinking.
Grogu? Grogu
Right.
can wield the Darksaber because he is both a Mandalorian and a Jedi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be sweet if he kind of
Mhm.
brought balance to that. You know, those opposites there, and kind of does his own thing. There's
Yeah.
money in Grogu. You know what I mean? There's
So much
definitely
money.
a lot of growth for his character, especially down the
Wow.
road. I think he can be really sweet, no matter whatever they do with it. I mean, it's a big galaxy, so they
Yeah.
can do whatever they want with that character and make some really cool stories.
Well, I hate to break it to you guys, but an outsider will never rule Mandalore.
Yeah, probably not.
Wrong.
I'm gonna go back to Luke because you brought up Luke in this episode, and we got the return of a lot of our favorite characters. One of those, though, being Max Lloyd Jones, who was the face double for the Luke.
Beautiful.
He actually got his
boy.
own character in this episode, which was the X-wing pilot Lieutenant Reed, who returned with Captain Carson Teva, who, you know, the Resistance Rangers here out roaming around doing their policing duties on Tatooine.
The cops just
Face
running
cops.
plates, pulling
Yeah.
people over, trying to get a warrant to pop. Ugh.
Right, right.
This pisses me off. How does that guy get a character name and Danny Trejo is unnamed
Yeah,
Rancor Keeper or whatever? Give me a break.
Maybe they wanted that. Maybe Danny Trejo was like, "God, don't name me."
maybe they didn't have it at the time that they put him in the episode,
Could
but
be a
if he
big
comes
reveal.
back next week
It just
and you
was
see him
heavy.
next week, then he'll have a character name.
Well, the funny thing is, when he first popped up, I thought he looked like those old Jabba's cards off the
Weak Way?
Like his face was so
Yeah.
just old
Yeah.
and wrinkled like that. I
Yeah.
was like, "Is that Danny Trejo or is that one of those?" Oh, that is Danny Trejo. Okay.
Yep. And we had the return of Peli Motto in this
Love
as well.
her so
I like her
much.
too. I thought one of you didn't like her.
I will say this: when she first came on, I was not digging the character. Through the course of Mandalorian, and after this, I was like, she's grown on me a ton. Like,
Same. I was the
I
same
love
way.
her.
And I was like,
Hey.
"Oh gosh, she's kind of annoying." But then as
Yep.
it went on, I was
I
like,
like
"Oh, you know what? She's pretty sweet."
yeah, her comedic relief in the show has been very welcomed.
I was shocked when she was like, "You got rid of the kid. I could have sold. I could have made tons of money off him." Like, geez, I thought you liked him. You just saw it as a profit opportunity. Jeez.
Hey, she's trying to make a buck,
Ruthless.
man.
I mean, it's
She's
tough
trying to
out
do it
there
on
in
the
the
cheap.
streets.
She's got to
I get
support
it,
her
but-
furry Jawa babies somewhere.
Furry Jawas. I was going to say that. Did you guys know Jawas were furry?
Yeah, you
didn't.
could see their little arms.
I thought they had like gloves on or something. I don't know. I guess I never
Yeah,
paid that
yeah.
close
There's a
attention.
little
I
gap
didn't.
between their sleeve and their glove, and they have like little furry monkey arms.
There's,
Yeah, I
there's
realized
always
they were
some
so
like kind of
furry.
mysteries in Star Wars that I never want to know, like what Jawas
Furry
look
Jawas?
like. Sand
What
people
Jawas look like without
you know
the
what I mean?
robe.
The Tuskens. I don't
Oh,
know
really?
what they look like.
I am dying to see under a Tusken
He
mask.
is.
I've
is.
also never wanted to know which species in Star Wars are compatible. Like I've just never wanted to know that. So that just
Yeah.
like popped a bubble I had no interest in having popped. I was
Yeah.
like,
What do you
nope.
mean by compatible?
Sexually is what she means.
This part
Oh.
fits there.
She dated a Jawa.
I
Come on.
figured if it felt right, they all would be.
They're so small.
Well,
she's small.
Well,
She's like 5'2".
Maybe the reason why they wear those cloaks. You know what I'm saying?
you don't know what's under the cloak.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think we went on this tangent last week with Tiernan, and we were talking about furries. So
I deleted the furry photo.
We're not revisiting that.
we're right back to where we
revisiting
started.
that.
Apparently, again, Hasbro and Lucasfilm tuning into our podcast and our Friday night live streams to get ideas. Apparently, so. But yeah, Pelimato's great. Her taste in men may be a little bit misdirected, but her taste in starships is very good.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a little body hair, guys.
This is true.
Oh, man.
They're trying to make a living.
Right. Got to do what you got to do.
Not everybody looks like this. Not everybody looks like this. You know?
Almost no one does. Yeah.
They are hiring some good-looking people in the Star Wars universe there. But yeah, it's no, she's good with the starships. She knows her mods. The cool reference to, I don't even remember what they called it. It had like 4 names for it, but whatever the long piece was that they put on at the end was the same thing in the trash compactor in A New Hope, which was just a nice little reference there. Just like, hey, how can we throw space junk into this episode that people are going to recognize? Oh yeah, let's do that. And they threw it in there, and it was so cool. And it worked. It works. They were like, oh, we just stole this off a Pike ship that was parked, or they were refueling. They went under and stole it underneath. I'm like, brave little Jawas, man.
Jawa's even craftier than I thought. But I will say the ship is very sick, and like he can do super cool things with it. And I'm assuming like the weapons array is also going to be killer because he's a Mandalorian or whatever. But it like practically, it is not a replacement for his ship that it's not lived on, you know. Like it was his home.
It's a side ship is what it is. It's like it's cool to have this. It's like the Corvette in the summertime. Then you got to break out the SUV in the winter.
He's got to get his.
He's basically a midlife guy whose kid just went away to college, and he's like, I need a hot rod fixer upper.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
There you go.
It's just not as practical, man. He's going to learn.
Though he goes on a long trip, he's going to need a piss jet in that thing.
He's got room in the back for Grogu and a sidecar.
There's no
like how he said wizard
Grogu back there and the little astromech thing.
Oh, I loved that too.
I mean, he could fit Grogu. He's just not fitting any bounties in there, unless
the Razor Crest had a vac. It had a whole armory. It had he had a whole catalog of bounties. It's just
maybe he's gonna follow in Boba's footsteps, and he's not gonna be a bounty hunter anymore. I'm just saying.
Well, he clearly wants a family. He's like
now.
begging someone to just like take him in. He lost Grogu, and he's
right here.
Well, yeah,
he went back to the Zealots knowing they were Zealots and was like, please just let me live here with the 2 of you. Like, that's
he can always go back to that one planet because that one lady had the hots for him.
Yes, Sorgan, yes.
Yeah.
He went to Sorgan. Omira's
never should have
left.
Should
have never left. Go pick up Grogu. Go back to Sorgan. Everything's good. That's a wrap. No more Mandalorian. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
It's Julia Jones. How could you not go back to Julia Jones?
It was hard. It was hard not to watch it tug on your heartstrings though. Like as he's on the flight, the registered transport, and he's holding the little bag that looks like Grogu's head, and you're just like, man. And it was. I would say this: this episode was a stark contrast from everything that we've seen in Book of Boba Fett to this point, because everything in Book of Boba Fett is a man who is all by himself as a bounty hunter and is now accruing family and bringing people in. Where you now have Mando, who has been alienated from his own sect or whatever. He's lost Grogu. He doesn't have anybody else at this point. He is by himself. So it's a very contrast from what we've seen Boba going, hey, you want to come be a part of my family? Come be part of my family. Come be part of my family. Let's do this. And then here's Mando with nobody at this point.
Clearly in search of some guidance from a fellow Mandalorian.
Missing
just in time.
Little guy.
Missing Grogu hours.
Yeah. I like how they let him keep the jetpack on the flight.
I thought
where's he gonna go once he's on there?
Like, I don't know about you guys, but I had so much anxiety when he was putting the stuff in the box at that point.
I'm like,
Oh.
I understand
going
how we're
missing.
setting up this whole
Yeah.
thing about he's got to replace the Razor Crest, but he just tossed the Darksaber in a
Yes.
box
He really
to go
doesn't care.
under the ship. Like,
Yeah.
my God. I mean, I guess nobody's looking for it out there, but I unfathomable.
If anybody's ever lost their luggage traveling,
Oh.
you
That's
know
what I
that
was
anxiety
thinking.
is real. Like, oh my God, they're gonna lose all his stuff, and he's gonna have no weapons when he gets off in Tatooine.
More whistling birds dropped out of his damn thing. A limitless supply of those mothers. Which
Use these sparingly.
didn't
Yeah.
the armor make the whistling birds for him? Which are
Yeah.
little tiny bombs made out of Beskar.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then today in this episode, she was like, "You're not supposed to make weapons out of Beskar."
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
that's
a
true.
liar.
Yeah,
She's
She
a
good
doesn't.
liar.
point.
She can't even keep up with her own bullshit. Give me a break.
This is the thing that drove me
This
so
is how
crazy.
cult leaders do it.
She's 100% a cult leader, but the fact that she didn't even give him the opportunity to explain why he took his helmet off, when he literally took his helmet off to do the one thing that Mandalorians are like dictated to do, which is protect their foundlings. He did it to save a child. If only she had let him explain, but no.
I mean,
I
how
don't
often
think it
does
would
a
matter
I
either way.
mean-
She seems pretty stone cold in the ways. So,
And
but
it
I agree with
has
you. She didn't let him say anything. But I don't think that would have helped his case.
No, and
No,
it's so funny because even when he's getting on the plane or the commercial flight, the starship, he still calls himself a Mandalorian and still says it's his religion, even though he just got kicked out. Like he's so far still deep in it. Like he does not realize he's like everything's gonna be fine. I'm just gonna go see Grogu. Things are good.
I
Don't
mean,
let
he
him
does
back.
know in the back of his mind that they're not all like that, though. Now that he's
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah.
night owl.
And wouldn't that be like a double negative? Like, yeah, I took my helmet off, but I also have the dark saber. So you kind of got to listen to what I'm like
So-
the ruler right now. So,
So
He's like,
fuck you,
actually-
everybody. Take your
yeah,
helmets
he
off.
like just
Like,
kind
what-
of, he's like, you know what? Nope, I beat all that. We do what
helmets
we
are
do.
coming off now.
Exactly.
Now I gotta say, like he did, like she asked him, and he paused. He had this really long
He just
pause,
stared.
and he just
It was like,
I
maybe
don't
if
really
I just
know.
won't say anything ever.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not gonna
Just
say
keep quiet.
anything, or
He was
whatever.
like, if I just stand here really still, she'll forget
Yeah.
I'm here.
Like you're
Her
telling
vision
me
is based
though.
on movement.
Yeah. I mean, this is a Jurassic Park reference
It's
in here.
Mando.
But like, no, he like stood there for a minute and he didn't answer. And then like she asked again and he still kind of hesitated. He had an opportunity to say, yes, I did. Here's why. But I got a problem with this though. You're telling me
much of
from the
one.
time that you dropped the kid off to the time that you found the rest of your group, you hadn't thought, what if she asked me if I ever removed my helmet and
Yeah,
didn't
no
come up
He
with
didn't.
what you were
He's
going to
not
do?
Smart. He's a
Yeah, I'll tell you
himbo.
what. I'll tell you what you do. You say, "Nope." Like, who's-
She isn't going to know.
Yeah.
Din does not think though. You have to remember, this man is just like, whatever they tell me, it's cool. I'm good.
And I get it. He is
Bill Burr at
trying.
it again.
He's trying to do the right thing, and he's
No,
trying
that's wrong.
to be honest with her. And I'm like, but at the same time, I'm also like, dude, you're a bounty hunter by trade. Like you are like, you don't care. You just either kill people or you take their money. Like you should have said no
Yeah.
and just moved on.
Also, like, how is
That's
a
my
greasy, itchy
opinion.
scalp really helping us all, guys? Like, what's the end game?
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
I don't know, but he had an opportunity. I don't know why he didn't have
He didn't
that
want to
preformed
lie.
thought before he got there.
Maybe that's
Even
part
if
of
he's
his,
not-
his code is the, yeah, he's like be honest. I guess I don't know.
Even so, he could, like Justin said, he could have had a prepared like, yes, but here's why I had to do it because of this reason is along with the code, and you still have to let me be part of your crazy cult because I had to do it.
And
Yeah.
if she cut him off and said no, stop, then fine. But at least you tried to get it out there and tell her why. If she goes, oh, now I understand why you did it. Cool, we're all good. That works too. But I mean, I can't imagine he hadn't thought about that on the way home. Like you had a nice long rebel transport drop to go home because your ship is gone. So I don't know. how that
Watch
didn't
Son of a
cross your mind.
Woman and just gotten all pumped up.
It's also
Yeah.
so interesting with the fact that he gets called an apostate because an apostate is somebody who chooses for themselves to leave. He was kicked out, so like they really were just adding like insult to injury with the way he reacted.
And you know he wanted to say something to him after losing. He was salty.
What? Oh
He
yeah.
was.
Well, and
He
they're
was
true
salty.
believers too. They're like, you took off your helmet, you willingly did this to yourself. You're like, that's how. I mean, they fully believe what they are saying, and
Yeah.
their whole like. I mean, that's twisted to believe that because you get to have this weapon, so you rule the planet, but you got it the wrong way, so then millions of
Shit out
people
of
like
luck.
that. Yeah, like come on, don't be crazy. You really think that's why? That's not why. It's because the Empire was a bunch of bad people, and you were a threat. Boom, you neutralize the threat. Doesn't matter how you got the sword.
I mean, to be fair, she explained the rules to him, but I don't think she necessarily completely implied that they're still following those rules with the Darksaber. Just that's like the legend of the sword. Like that's what they've always done previously.
Well,
Yeah,
she said that Bo-Katan was a cautionary tale because she got the Darksaber, and because of her name and the weapon, she thought she could rule Mandalore, but she did not win it in combat. So
Ergo, she is not.
It went against the prophecy, so they were essentially cursed, and that's why Mandalore fell, which is of course absurd.
I could see them no longer following any Darksaber code if that, like, the mishandling of the Darksaber is what led to, where they are now. Anyway.
I don't know, because old boy wanted it so badly.
But it was
his
family
business or
sword,
something like
though.
that.
But I don't agree that the mishandling of the quote mishandling of the Darksaber had anything to do with why Mandalore fell. Do you think because
I think she thinks that, because that's why she was saying it was a cautionary tale. Like,
no, I think she does 100% believe it. Yeah,
I think it's their soul,
but it's crazy.
Religious is their narrative. It doesn't fit their narrative, so they're like, well, the Darksaber, it's not important because it's not important to them at this moment.
Yeah,
he's in his helmet on, so it goes against their beliefs and all that stuff.
Her own logic eats itself alive. Yeah. Because he did win it by rights. He won it in combat. He followed all the rules. So who is she to say he can't do whatever he wants?
Exactly.
It doesn't even add up by her own logic.
But isn't he the boss man now? Like,
seriously,
the chosen one.
Yeah, it's interesting because you can look at this a number of different ways. Because to be honest, I don't think the armorer thinks Bo-Katan is a Mandalorian anymore. Because technically, if she thinks that Din is not a Mandalorian because he took his helmet off, then Bo and House Kryze, Sabine's family, they're all like not real Mandalorians according to her.
Well, it's the same,
and that's what
she's the same argument they've been having since the Clone Wars. That's the same stuff they were saying to Duchess Satine because she wanted to, not just be about let's fight each other all the time, and they thought that was stupid because we want to fight each other all the time.
Yeah, right.
And there's the whole fact that like everybody who's had the Darksaber and who has ruled Mandalore were Mandalorians who took their helmet off, so it makes sense that this super extreme sect would think, if you take your helmet off, you put like everybody at risk. You're breaking all of these rules. It's the superstition. It's if you do this thing, you will be punished for it, which I think is a lot of why Din is the way he is. Like, I would love to know if Din thinks that everything bad that has happened to him is a direct causation of him taking his helmet off. Like, he's lost everything. He lost his ship. He lost the kid. Like, even though he did the good thing and reunited the kid, things are not going well for him. He just got kicked out. Like, everything bad has happened after he took his helmet off.
Yeah. It's interesting because the armor does say,
this theory is like awesome to me.
Yeah.
I don't think this, but the Empire plants a crazy zealot within the community that they're threatened by to keep them divided and keep. It's not unbelievable. I'll tell you that. Like, I don't think that's what's going on, but that's like a dope idea.
Yeah.
I've also seen theories of her being Rook from Clone Wars, which I kind of love. But also, I'm like, man, that'd be really hypocritical because she did not wear her helmet either.
She's got those little nubs.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, they there's a lot of the big theory going around too is that she was a supporter of Darth Maul. That hence
you would
the horns on her helmet, which I thought would be pretty cool. A nice little nod. to the Clone Wars.
Well, it makes sense because that's the same line of people: the Death Watch people, the Maldalorian Maul followers, the children. It's the same thought process. The same. Those are the same people. You know.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, they're just branches of it. Yeah, branches of a different tree. I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised, regardless of if she's Rook or not, that at some point, like, I don't think she was always not where. I think this lore that they're like these rules that they're following, I think, come out of them becoming even more like
they had
zealous.
to double down on their crazy beliefs because things went bad.
All the bad stuff happened. Yeah,
maybe she is Rook, and she, from taking her helmet off, maybe she went and got baptized down there in the waters underneath Mandalore, and then she got, and then she became the crazy zealot after she did that. Kind of redeemed herself, and that's why right off the bat she was like, "Yeah, the only way you can do that is by doing this."
Mm-hmm.
And I did want to specify, because for some reason I just thought somebody's going to say, "Oh, he didn't take his helmet off until after the Razor Crest got blown up." I mean, at the end of season 1, when he took his helmet off so that he didn't die, and then like the covert fell apart, and then everything that came after that. So that, I feel like, could have been like the inciting moment for him being like, "Well, my life's gone downhill. Maybe there's some merit in that." I mean, the covert fell apart, people died. There's only 2 of them left. Like.
Fair.
It's that religious guilt. It gets it to you.
Yeah.
I get it.
I saw another theory on the internet, which is, of course, a terrifying place. But
was it Twitter or Facebook?
it was the Twitter. But someone was saying they think Din is going to go to Mandalore and try and get into the whatever the waters under the mines of Mandalore and.
Baptized?
Yeah, try to redeem himself there, and they also theorized that he would see a mythosaur there. I
can see that, very Shang-Chi-esque.
I was wondering if, like, is that ultimately what we think he's going to pursue? Is keep trying to get back into, or is he going to be persuaded by some more kind of,
I hope he's persuaded.
Shall we say, moderate Mandalorians?
Yeah, hopefully he comes to his senses.
Yeah, because I don't think the cult's the right way for him.
I mean,
because he's clearly searching for guidance, right? He will, like, someone show me, like Bo-Katan, are you the person who can show me how to be a Mandalorian? Armor, like, are you the person who can show me? Maybe Boba Fett is going to be the person who can show him. Like, who is going to? I don't know. What path do we think he's ultimately going to land on? Because there's some varying schools of thought there.
I can see Boba giving him some fatherly advice, like, "Hey, I can't tell you who you are. You got to find that out for yourself," type stuff. Like, that's what I'm doing now. And kind of gives him that advice. And because I do, like you said, I think he's waiting to be told what he has to do instead of doing it himself. And sooner or later, he'll figure that out.
Which is not dissimilar from where Boba is, because he's not doing very good at being a leader himself. He's waiting for people to tell him how to react to things. And I think it's a direct side effect of both of them having been children that lost so much. Because, I mean, Din lost his parents when he was a child. Boba lost Jango as a child, and having this very uncertain, very...
Jango. Won't even call him his dad. That's dirty.
Misplaced. Very misplaced. I'm sorry. I forgot the word father for a second.
That's our resident author, ladies and gentlemen.
His clone daddy.
Forgot the word for sperm donor.
I have been up for so long. I don't know. I lost my thought there. But just the fact that they're still very much little boys in big armor. And they're still trying to find their place. And they haven't fully matured, even though they are both grown men.
Well,
they're
and
still,
it's
like, searching.
Such as manhood, huh?
Yeah, and but it's great that Rohit brought it up there. Like, that he's, if he goes to Boba for some, like, fatherly advice, it's very opposite of what he's getting from the armorer, which is, hey, we're kicking you out, and he is by himself. And Boba in the last episode basically just said, you don't get very far without a tribe. And that's why he's bringing people in, and he understands, from a man who's been on his own this entire time, he understands how important having people around you that are on the same page. Maybe you don't have all the answers, but as a group, you can figure it out together as to what you should do, which is what he's doing with Fennec right now. And like, hey, I'm just going, by the seat of my pants here, but I'm leaning this way, but I got that other person on my other shoulder over here leaning me this way. So I get both opinions to help guide me with what I feel is the right direction. So Yeah, I think he's, Mando's looking for a tribe somewhere, man. He needs a group. He needs a family. He needs people. He needs Grogu.
Too bad the one person who was like begging him to stay, pretty much, he just ran away from.
Which I find very interesting too, because the armorer who when he walked in, they were like, "Whoa, we're down to 3 now. You, me, and Paz." And then they're like, "Oh, all right, well, forget you. See ya." Like, okay, now you're down to 2. What are you gonna do?
Maybe
There's nobody left.
Paz likes
That's how
armor,
the
and he was
corporations
hoping
are,
they
though.
could repopulate the tribe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that could be.
They can't take their armor off, so how's that gonna work?
Oh,
Just-
Maggie,
just
take the
where there's
helmet
a
off.
will, there's a
They can
way.
still
Yeah.
keep the helmet on,
There's
and
the way. This is the way.
As long as the socks come off, it's fine.
Just turn the lights off and they're weird.
I think
sure.
that this was kind of supposed to solidify like how the audience is supposed to feel about the cultist, because like he obviously goes back there because he's lost and doesn't know what to do because he doesn't have Grogu, and they treat him like shit. So it's like, okay, now before I think we're like, oh crap, he's in a cult. How do we feel about that? And then now it's like, oh yeah, they don't really care about him at all. They're like being very steadfast about their rules, and the one guy doesn't even like him at all. Like,
it was almost a montage of like they had to check off so many boxes really quick. And I loved it. This isn't negative at all, but like we had to make Grogu a little Beskar trinket, and there's like one person in the world that can do that we know of. We had to teach Din like some Mandalorian-ness and some Darksaber-ness, and he got a little training montage, and he got confronted and challenged by like the namesake to the saber, and like boom, 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 that all happened. And then also, like you were saying, it's like, and as a reminder, even though these guys like look cool and say cool stuff, they are not that awesome.
I'm glad he got his lore lesson from the armorer though, because
she is good at it.
We already kind of know what happened, and we know the greater Mandalorian history for the most part from the lenses we've already seen, but we didn't really know like, why are these cultists like this? Why are and so we got getting all of that stuff from their perspective, finding out where they were holed up and why they were still around. And it was a nice touch that we wouldn't have got if he would have gotten that from Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
Yep. Does anybody
That's actually the TikTok life hack for ruling Mandalore forever, is you just refuse every challenge. Nope.
You're just like, nah.
Nope.
Does anybody else find it interesting though that like Paz Vizsla is under this "don't take your helmet off" thing, but Pre Vizsla, who is of his lineage, took his helmet off all the freaking time and had his dark saber. So I just find it very interesting that they're
religion is hypocritical.
I'm telling you, I
spectrum.
think it changed and they doubled down when the disaster hit.
I see. I also think it's bad writing. We try to make excuses for it, but maybe that is the reason. Is because, like you were saying, Josh, I'm hoping that's the reason why.
Well, what if they come back and
it makes sense somehow?
The fact that he ended up getting decapitated is like the exact reason why now they're like, look,
I can see that.
Head got chopped off, helmet stays on. That's it. Hard rule.
Yeah, we did get to see, according to the lore, we did get to see the Night of 1,000 Tears, which was, I mean, this is spot on Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
So good.
I mean, it was so good. The K2, look at this. That is spot on T2 right there. The K2SO models, and then obviously the Imperial probe droids up there. And then the explosion of like
ones yet.
On Mandalore, they have those giant dome cities, and you saw just the epic destruction of one of those dome cities that I don't think that like that one dome city was not all of Mandalore. It's just one city or one
it's like the main
it's like the main hub, but I'm guessing there's more on the planet like
as
that.
You may remember from our season 7 of the Clone Wars coverage, there are very few left. There's the big capital city one, and that's just about it. Not too many more, because they have effed themselves in the A. to the point of near destruction.
Shit,
And
there
then-
might not be anything left after.
Well, yeah, now there's even less.
Because what do they
Yeah.
say? They turn the planet into glass. Mandalore's glass.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there might not be, at least they might not
Melted the
think.
sand.
You know,
I
Well,
mean,
yeah, again, that could be a more imperial propaganda.
could be.
Once all the
True.
Mandalorians were gone, you can say whatever you want about
Yeah.
a planet that's empty.
Maybe they took it over. Maybe they got like secret bases and stuff like that now.
it could have been like, and we saw this right in that season 7 of Clone
That's
Wars.
what I
with-
assumed
with-
too, Sean.
Yeah, with Ahsoka and Maul fighting up in the rafters of
Very
this
sick.
thing. It could have been. I don't know. And I know it Sabine's mom and family were hiding out like a lake house or something out on a frozen pond. I
It's not
think
a guarantee.
I don't. I
Hedge your
don't
bet.
were they on Mandalore though? Was her family on Mandalore proper, or were they on like one of the moons?
I don't know.
I
That
didn't think they
episode
were
was-
on Mandalore, but I can't remember, to be honest with
The
you.
Wren family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wherever they were hiding out.
Looking it up.
They were. I don't
It's a
remember the
Google
name of it,
machine,
but I'm pretty
Josh.
sure they were not on Mandalore.
Yeah. It was great though to get all of this lore from Mandalorian, and you had Mandoa in there, which she was counting.
Yeah.
You had Mandoa used again, which we saw last time when Kanan is training Sabine
Nice.
right on the position. So, oh, look at that.
She knows her Mandos.
There you go.
Nice.
So that was a nice little callback there. We're getting the Mandoa put back into it. But yeah, it was so much lore in this episode that tying into the Mandalorians and everything that's been going on with them was awesome to see. Like I honestly enjoyed that for the majority of this episode, but more so probably than the ship build montage. But yeah,
Same, but they were both good.
I mean, you had Sabine as she's training, and she's like, "Oh, the sword is getting lighter. It's getting easier to maneuver." And then you've got
I
Din,
love
who's
that.
like, "This
Yep.
is very heavy. It's getting heavier the more I swing it."
It was
And
very
she's like,
similar.
"You're fighting the blade." And I don't know that it's fighting the blade, because obviously the Darksaber is created by a Jedi, so we figure there is a kyber crystal in there. Yes,
Well, for sure.
right. So there is some force related things going on with it, and I just think that the wielder of it, the holder of it, if they know what they want and they know what they're after, the sword kind of responds better to them. Whereas Din has this sword, doesn't care to have the sword, right? He never wanted to be a ruler of Mandalore, right? And he's trying to wield it and it doesn't work. Whereas Sabine, when she was wielding it, was to help her family and to her people, and she understood that. The same thing with I think Vizsla, even though it was for the wrong reason, he still knew what he wanted. And I think that sword responds better to people that know what they want versus Din, who's like, I don't want to be leader of Mandalore. I just want the kid back.
The one guy wanted it though too, but maybe that translates
Moff
into
Gideon?
because it was heavy
No,
for him
Paz.
too. Was it
Oh,
Paz?
Paz.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe it's the type of kyber crystal because it is, it's black.
Yeah.
So maybe that you don't ever see any black lightsabers. So maybe that's
Mhm.
also
Good.
that plays into it as well. Maybe it's something that you almost have to, because what you have to make a kyber crystal bleed in order to make it work. So maybe this one is like stubborn, and you have to be able to have some like kind of like what you were saying, like some type of not necessarily the force, but some type of control over yourself and
Right.
it, and kind of blend
Direction.
that together in order for it to work. So yeah, that
Yeah.
definitely could be
Yeah.
a thing.
You're right, though. I forgot about that because Paz did have it for a minute or two there, and he
was
wasn't
heavy for
having
him.
any
Heavy.
better luck, and he definitely felt he had some conviction. That's for sure. He believed in what he was
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
But it's like Kanan was saying, it has to be an extension of you. You go with the blade. You don't try to force it and all that stuff. And I think that's sort of what
Yeah.
the armor was saying too.
Yeah.
It's got to be a part of you. You got to connect to it in a way and not treat it like a blaster. Like a thing that it's not a tool. It's a
Right.
part of you.
Yeah.
and
you know?
Paz is a brute, so he was
Yeah.
probably thinking, trying to
They're
swing
trying
a
to
hammer.
force it.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Now, Rohit, I'm going to ask you this question because
Force.
all right, so you're fighting our man Din for the Darksaber. There's no blades involved, no shields, no knives, no nothing. It's hand-to-hand combat. What are you doing to Din to take him down and win the Darksaber and rule Mandalore?
Well, I would say pocket sand, but he has a visor. So I'm probably like, oh my God, is that Grogu over there?
Good try.
As soon as he comes around, I'd choke him and put him to sleep.
Get him in the chokehold.
Yeah. So
Hey, that's
as soon as he comes around, I'm
a
thinking
high
that's Grogu.
probability move right there.
Nice. I mean,
Yeah.
you're working in a tight space. You're on a bridge that if you fall off, you're pretty
No
much
handrails.
dead.
Yeah,
handrails.
Star
Yeah.
Wars, except Empire.
OSHA. I have no idea.
It's a tight space. You're not dealing in a square here with ropes, so it's a little harder of a challenge. But yeah, I was just curious what you do to him.
Yeah.
You said pocket sand.
Rohit would definitely do something sneaky and dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know if you guys know this, but Rohit's not the nicest guy. When he's on your
Oh,
TV
wow.
screen, he's not the nicest guy.
Yeah. What are you
But
talking
he's
about?
always
spread
working
these lies.
smarter.
You gotta spread these lies.
He's working
I
smarter,
don't
not
believe
harder.
it.
Running an
There
angle,
it
huh?
In that noggin.
Oh, guilty.
I love the who's
why
that
he's got
behind
the
you on the
championship,
mat?
though.
Who's that behind you
Oh,
on the
Chris
mat?
Bay.
He's like
Someone who feels
I just-
bamboozled, it
he's
looks
I
like.
just
Oh,
lost.
and to be honest, that was a story told. I totally bamboozled him out of that belt.
Yeah.
Smarter, not
Well, then
harder,
he pulled
baby.
it off because that's exactly how he looked.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. He
I Han
looked like-
Soloed him out of the Millennium Falcon. So yeah,
Ah.
I got him.
That's why there's no
Nice.
railings. It's to increase productivity. That's exactly what the Empire would do, though. Too, they'd install those
Yeah.
leaning toilets so your legs get sore if you sit down too long. No long breaks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What'd you guys think of the Halo ring used in Star
That was so
Wars
cool.
here?
So
That was cool.
interesting.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Apparently, it was one of the Easter egg videos I watched said it was inspiration from, I guess it was in a book years ago, and it was like a planet called Glavis, I think it was.
Oh.
But apparently it was like inspired from, at least in the book, there was a ring planet. And it was inspired from an old sci-fi book. But of course, obviously that ring looked like it was straight from Halo, which I thought that was
Mhm.
pretty sweet.
Yep. It's if you guys, I don't know if anybody else plays Halo Infinite right now. But if you play Halo Infinite and you're doing like multiplayer on the load screens, there's little like snippets in there at the bottom that one of them is like a fine addition to my collection. There's just little quips, like little one-liners, not all of them, but some of them are Star Wars related. So it's kind of nice to see a little bit of a crossover between the two.
Kind of
If you
tip the
play-
cat back to him.
Yeah, if you play Halo Infinite, it's kind of like, oh, hey, somebody was a Star Wars fan when they were doing these little like tools and tip screens. So
That's
it's
really
pretty
cool.
fun. But yeah, if you haven't played Halo Infinite, check it out. It's pretty cool. We're getting a little bit short on time here, but I think we're all in agreement. Bryce Dallas Howard on
good.
this was so
I'm
good.
a true believer.
Every episode I think she's done has been amazing. It's been outstanding. It's been so fun to watch.
She actually gets better with each one.
Yeah.
You can see her
Yeah.
growth. And because the first one was when he went to that planet, right?
Yep, Sanctuary.
Yeah, and now like everyone after that, it just got better and better and better. Man, she's gonna be awesome.
And
Oh.
Go ahead, Maggie.
I was just going to say, mentioning Sanctuary made me think about the fact that like so much credit goes to Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder, who were in the armor so much of the time in the performance. Because Sanctuary, of course, is the episode where Brendan was in the armor basically the entire time because Pedro was doing Wonder Woman 1984 reshoots. But I was thinking about that watching this episode, especially like Paz Vizsla. The actor didn't even get credited, and like the credits where Emily Swallow is, he didn't get credited until the doubles list, even though he was, doing
The
all
only
performance.
body. Yeah.
The physical
So-
person that is
Yeah.
Paz. Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah, so big shout out to all of the doubles and stunt doubles who do all of the
Yeah.
work on Mando to bring those characters to life, because so much of their physicality is owed to them and not the people voicing them.
Right.
Yeah.
And their body language too.
So much
Like-
of the performance we love is somebody
Yeah.
else entirely.
That's wild. Like when Paz, you could see he wasn't obviously looking at the Darksaber, but you could just tell by that dude's body language when he saw the
Exactly what he was
Darksaber.
doing.
You could tell exactly what he was thinking, and
Mhm.
that's like with the music and the direction to convey that without like
words
with no
or
face?
expression.
Yes,
I mean,
that's really cool. And I'm pretty sure like 90% of the audience knew he wants that.
oh
Mhm.
yeah, it was such a great
Yeah, they
shot.
should
Like,
definitely get credit, way more credit than like you're saying. They definitely need more credit than what they
oh
get.
yeah,
It's been nice to see the stunt doubles and these body double characters actually getting roles that include their face and they have lines or they have these other things and they're playing a bigger character other than
yeah.
the secondary character for somebody else in these
That's-
episodes. Maxwell Jones, again, for instance,
Mhm.
actually getting his own character now. We had several stunt actors and actresses in the previous couple episodes that were doing roles. It's been so fun to see. It's nice that they're getting a little bit of nod here. And I mean, Bryce Dallas Howard, she's had great, amazing tutelage, I think, not in directing. I'm going to say in the Star Wars realm, in the mythology, the stories, everything like that to help kind of say, here you go. And then you do your thing. And she goes and does her thing. And it's gold.
I
Like-
can't wait to see how they use Brendan Wayne in something because, like, that's John Wayne's grandson. Like,
Yeah.
you have to give him screen time at some point in this series.
Yeah.
It'd be sacrilegious not to.
Yeah. It's awesome to see. So, man, we're going to dissect a whole bunch more this episode when we get into our podcast next week. And we've got some High Republic stuff too coming up that we're going to be covering. Was it the Fallen Star? I think. Is it the,
Yep.
did I get it
That's
right?
right.
The Fallen
Yep.
Star is
You did, nailed it. First
gonna be
take.
covering that. So
It
we've got that
hurts.
coming up. We got a lot coming your way in the next like week. So be on the lookout for a lot of new content. But dude, man, I love Star Wars like this. It is just so fun to watch. It's amazing.
Dude, I just love
I hate Star Wars.
Get out of here,
No, you
Kyle.
sound like a
Kyle.
Star Wars
And-
fan.
Can't stand it. That's how you know I'm a real
A Star
fan.
Wars fan,
Yeah.
a wrestling fan, a fan of any type of property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this.
How do I
fan cast
belong
right
to
here.
the two worst fandoms?
Oh my
I don't
gosh, please. Please.
I don't know, man. Marvel and DC is pretty rough. I've seen some.
It's so bad.
Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah.
I think it's just honestly, people get so passionate about stuff they like, and if you're on this side, you're obviously gonna like that. It's like that's life right now. Our society is like that. Everyone chooses sides, and if you're not, if you're not, what the hell does Anakin say? That you're against me.
If you're not with me, then you're
You're
against me.
against
That's what
me.
it is.
No, he's,
man.
you're my
That's what
enemy.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's how it is, people are in general in life right now. So yeah, Star Wars can be pretty toxic, and it can be pretty cool too. But every other property has its Nimrods. So
Yeah.
Ain't that the
Yeah.
truth?
And I mean, you can dislike things. That's perfectly fine. Not everybody likes things in Star Wars, man. But
Hey, look at
Yeah.
me. I didn't like Boba Fett, and now I
Yeah.
have Boba Fett merch and T-shirts, and same
Same.
with Luke. Like, you can have character growth.
you ain't
It's
gotta
not just
hate
reserved
people.
for
Just
fictional characters.
give more love. Give more love, man. World could use more love. Rohit, it's been great having you on the show this evening. Is there anything that you want to promote? Anything you got going on? Where can the people in the chat and listening find you?
always on Twitter at Hakim Zain. That's HAKIM. Raju Zain 80 on the old Insta. I cannot log into my old Facebook to save my life, so my Facebook, unfortunately,
Down and
my
out.
athlete page is lost, which really sucks. But prowrestlingtees.com/Rohit, where you can get that mocha skin Mandalorian T-shirt. I will be
Josh.
on AEW Dark pretty soon. I don't know when
Ooh.
that's going to air. And I do have a few more dates with them, so we'll see what happens with those guys. Hopefully something good. And then you can pay attention to my social media because I will be obviously wrestling every single weekend in some state, in some form or fashion. And then if you're ever in the Midwest area, I do have a pro wrestling school, the Dragon's Lair Pro Wrestling Academy out here in Saginaw, Michigan. You're feel free to stop by if you are a wrestler and if you are a fan and you want to check out and see what we can do. Also, please feel free to stop by. You will see me yelling at my students, telling them to get their knees higher, hit the ropes harder, and run faster, and suck it up. But other than that, no, we have fun out there. So yeah, pretty much that's it. Thank you guys for having me on. I love talking Star
You're
Wars.
welcome,
I love
man.
hearing other people's opinions and takes and what they think about that, and opens up my mind to the episode or the content. So yeah, I absolutely love talking Star Wars, debating it. It just everything. It's always going to be one of my favorite properties. So
I think we
Thanks for coming, man.
yeah, thank you for having me.
find out the price to get maybe Kyle in the ring with you and let you
Oh,
throw
yeah?
him around a little bit.
There we go.
I'll pay.
We'll
I'll
get-
put money down on that.
I'll
Let's
try
get
almost
a-
anything once.
Can we
I'm
get
not
an Outer
scared.
Rim Beacon outing to the training gym and let's just see what happens?
I'll come to Michigan for that.
Oh yeah, you better hope the
How
force
far is
with
it from-
you, brother. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be. Yeah, you better call
I'm
on
down, I'm down.
You better call on Master Luke. You better get the dark side on my side. Yeah,
Kyle, you better call up Ahsoka and start training.
yeah.
I need to
my
start training a
God.
long time ago. I think I'm already way behind.
Would you say a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away?
Good
Far
one.
away. Yeah, all right.
Oh man, yep, exactly. Rohit versus Ben Swallow.
Oh,
Down,
yeah.
That would be my
down.
tag partner.
Ben Swallow's chest, and if you're a fan of Japanese wrestling, you'll get this. Looks like Kenta Kobashi's chest, just a big barrel. Although I don't know why he wore his pants so high. That was kind of weird. But you know,
High waisted is
shout out
in,
to-
man. High waisted is
Ben
in,
Swallow
apparently. Oh my god, that's
I love
hilarious.
that.
It's hilarious. Yeah, we're totally gonna have to figure something out here because I would get a kick out of
I am
this.
Darth Vader with the mic saber. You can't touch me on that microphone or in that ring, my man.
That's what I was gonna say. I'll if I've got to get slammed on the ground, then we got to swing Justin by for a tattoo. It's only fair.
All right, we're gonna do all the things. We're gonna hit it up. We'll
If
do
we're
like a
in Michigan
I mean,
for
Saginaw
Outer
and
Rim
Ann Arbor
Beacon
aren't
trip.
that close, but we can make it work.
Yeah, let's go.
We'll call it a weekend.
yeah.
Sounds good to me.
That would be one epic weekend
We'll
and some
live
fun
stream it, don't
video
worry.
footage. Yeah, for sure. So, everybody,
Start picking
thank
out
you.
my singlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
Ooh.
You'll never look as good as I did in the macho get up though.
Hey, look at that.
Oh man.
I ran into that Slim Jim guy as I was walking onto the con floor. That was like day one walking onto the con floor.
Serendipitous.
So,
Perfect timing.
Yeah,
Yep.
meant to be.
Yep. Nice. Well, we have enjoyed having you on, man. It's
Thank
a
you.
pleasure having you on. I know your schedule's crazy and your time is always tight. So anytime we can get you on, it's always a pleasure. So thank you for joining us. Everybody that's tuned in, thank you for coming on the show tonight. We appreciate it. Thanks for chiming in on the comments. We will be diving more into this episode of Book of Mandalorian. This Fett, it's called Return of the Mandalorian. So we will dive into this episode this week on our podcast. Again, you can find us anywhere on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Outer Rim Beacon. You can email us if you want at Outer Rim Beacon at gmail.com, and then like and subscribe to anywhere you can find podcasts. We're happy to have you. So leave us a review. We would love to hear it. So for Josh, Kyle, Maggie, and Rohit, may the force be with you.
Always.
Always.
Like a bantha.
Touched for the very first time.
Oh, sick.
Unidentified vessel. Please submit your clearance codes.
I can bring you an alarm. Or I can bring you one cold.
This is Justin.
The force will be with you. This is Josh.
This is Kyle.